Well, hello there, everybody. Jamming out to some Asia, man. I'll tell you what, they were a great group. Got a chance to see them when I lived in St. Louis, and they were fabulous. So, how is everybody? Bosto, favor be unto you all, safety and nothing missing, nothing broken, and give you the big bear hug as well. Yep. How you doing, dude? Yes, teddy bears, good therapy. So what's up, everybody? So yeah, it's the 17th. Amazing how we love humans love to be entertained, and that's why we make up holidays. And what better one? I mean, I have Irish in me, and I was over there in Wales and Scotland and German and Italian. Got almost 11% Italian in me. Who would have thought? Arrivederci. Anyway, but happy St. Patrick's Day. Have a drink if you got one. I have my spiced tea. So, whatever your libation is, greetings. And we just speak love to us all on this day. And so, hello, Robert V. How are you doing? Nina the Mystic, Constant, what's up? Jasna, hello. Boots on the ground. Welcome. Gaia. I got your email. Just in the process of writing the Steiger perspective. So I'll get back with you on Friday, maybe Thursday afternoon on the email. So looking forward to that, Guy and Paul, for sure. What's going on? See this picture behind me? This is claimed to be an authentic alien intercepted picture that, and the story behind this, let me just pull it up, sorry, so everyone can see this. The story behind this is that there was an alien ship that it was a single occupant who well, his ship broke down. I mean, it's the best thing I know how to say it. It broke down. Anyway, he was communicating because we have the internet, and these are the pictures that he was challenged to prove who he was. Once he figured out, as he said, the cipher of the languages, not just English, but all the languages, because the internet, you know, the internet's like we are. We accept everybody. So anyway, so the challenge was, and I believe if I am correct on this, this was back in 2015, 2016. And this was one of the pictures, and there's a series of them, we'll look at them, of Earth. This is what he saw from his point of view. And we can actually blow this up a little bit so you can actually see. Interesting, isn't it? There's others. And he, because of the way he said it, he basically jacked in to our frequency sending out, and it received back from the mothership. He was a scout ship, and that's what he was saying he was doing here. He's scouting us. This is apparently, you can't, it's very difficult to see. And again, but he is saying this is his ship. Again, who knows? Hard to say. Here's another picture of the Earth. Interesting. You have to admit, I mean, I don't know. He did say kind of goodbye when they picked him up. This is a picture of the moon. I know it's difficult to see, but hey, it's dark out there. You know, space is a cold vacuum. Another picture of our moon. For him to actually go to the moon, you can see. Not any problem for as he said, they're whoever they are. I don't know. Our captors, who knows? This is again, as I remember the story, and I'm trying to recall it so I don't get this too screwed up. I believe this is the back side of the moon. That was the challenge. We all know what the front looks like. We wanted to see. And so what he did here, he showed where the moon, the new moon, was for here for Earth. And then he went around and took this picture of the dark side of the moon. I don't know. I'm just showing you what it's like. Another picture of Earth. And again, you have to be open-minded enough to understand aliens won't see the way we do. Other species don't see the way that we do. And so many people do quick judgments. Well, that doesn't look like anything. How do you know what an alien camera looks like? How do you know what it would take a picture of? Well, I think it would be clear. Do you? Well, how many times have you gone around the planet and back to the moon and back? Exactly. I mean, they are. I mean, the challenge I could think just from a technical standpoint would to have made the conversion. Pretty cool stuff, though. And it makes you think that, in fact, I think that these are authentic. But hey, I don't know. That's just my opinion. You know, you can pick and choose. There's actually a number of others. We'll save them for another time, as they would say. But it's cool. You have to admit, we ain't alone out there. We aren't. Hello, everybody. David Castle, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Flight Risk. Joyce, are you serious? The moon looks like a softball as seen through a nylon. It's an interesting perception. Hey, Marsha Price, how you doing, dear? And Robert V, reality notification. Love that. Hello. AK Morning Star, how are you? Deborah Sloan, hello. Mike. Oh, man, it's so cool to see you. Big Al, how was Colorado? I was thinking about you, buddy. I bet you were slip sliding around. I mean, I'm sure you weren't, but the snow had to be interesting. Twilight Traveler, good to see you as well. Project Skyfall, what's up? Hey, Kaz, good to see you, hon. How's it doing over there in the UK? Hey, the whole internet is funky. It's been funky. Something's going on. I don't know. So we're going to get into our story because I really like it. And Robert Morningstar actually has a video there. I'm going to get the link and put it in here. That where he actually did this. And you know, it's kind of cool to see the dude. I mean, if he was, I don't know if he's still around or not, but I'm going to find out. I'd like to get him on. So y'all remember when we did this? Y'all remember this, right? This was an alien. This is what it was called, the alien races. Go back and go to the archives, the true identity of the aliens. This was an interesting book because I'm seeing a lot of similarities that as I go back, for instance, they have a section that we did where they did on the Conqueror. It says, a table of excellence hangeth over every people. Lo, it is the table of their triumphs. Lo, it is the voice of the will to power. And isn't it interesting? Let me get that. in your dreams, you know, that's where they come. We've all seen them. They're here. And then you remember when we did the Forbidden Religion? I got the, there's additional books to this, and we're going to be getting into that. But again, reading this and to what we're reading here, wow. Seems like, here's my take, and we're going to get right into this because I don't want to waste too much time. I have an appointment I have to do afterwards. So yeah, that's those things, you know. But all the creation stories, all the thoughts, ideas, myths, fables, legends, I think all have a dose of truth in them. That's why you can't reject any religion and you can't accept any religion. If you're wise, it's like kind of sifting, panning for gold. You know, you get a big pile of earth, looks like it doesn't have anything, and Karen could probably tell this story as well, you know, panning, and what do we have in here? So anyway, hey, what else is going on? Hey, Jenny, what's up? Going to have all the crew here, and I am going to be talking to a young lady. I believe Steve recommended her. Her name is Fiona. I'm trying to get connecting. She's in Ireland, but she has expressed some interest of coming on the panel. So wouldn't that be far out? She's an astrologer. So I think that would be like, woo. So happy St. Peter, Patrick's Day, St. Peter. I got Elton John in the back of my head. Where to now, St. Peter? There we go. I'm talking about that. Hey, Ken Cook, what's up? All right. A bit of truth in everything, but never all. Robert V. Wise words, my friend. A philosopher you are indeed. We got a lot of them here. That's what makes this group so compelling. That's all I have to say. So let's get into our book. So, as you know, I started at the end and for a reason. And so now we understand about us. We know that we were genetically put together. Hey, it was a story that goes way back. I got a sense that we've been here a while. So in this story, as I read to the entrance of it, we know that now this is Baktai's story that he told to Robert Morningstar's grandfather. And I love the story. I think you will too. Those of you who've read the book, you know it's a compelling read. So this is the Genesis. The explosion rocked the nothingness of the void. I've done videos on the void, the nothingness, folks. It's a real place. We're just in one version of the void. Primordial essence was thrown violently outwards. I love that. What a descriptive word. Like the primeval oceans, wave after wave crashed into the black pit of the void. Nothingness beheld chaos, and chaos poured out into the nothingness. Folks, that's just far out. I don't care what anyone says. That is some far out descriptors. As the primeval waters streamed outwards, rivers of dark essence swirled together, forming huge whirlpools. As the whirlpool spun inward, the essence condensed into clouds of gas. Superheated from the compression forces in the core of the swirl, sparks ignited the volatile clouds. Explosion after explosion formed enormous balls of fire, supernova of brilliant red and dwarf stars of blazing blue. Like islands in the water of the essence, the stars formed from the swirls and the spinning galaxies. Time after time, the process was repeated in the void. Time after time, a galaxy was born. In time, one of these galaxies would become known as Uranus. This is the history of one small part of Uranus and a tiny world known as us, Earth. In the swirling primordial waters of Uranus, many of the stars gave birth to worlds of their own. From the gases, the dust thrown out from the sun, the planets condensed and cooled. Elemental gases combined to form moisture. The rain fell to form oceans. Thunderstorms raged. The oceans tossed and turned, crashing on the shores of the surface islands. In the midst of the lightning and the fury, a single spark flashed, creating 1 microsecond, a single cell of life. We come from light. Single-celled life forms combine to create multi-celled creatures. Multi-celled creatures became complex beings with billions of cells: fishes, insects, birds, reptiles, plants, and mammals. As many different creatures as there are stars in the galaxy came into existence. You know, you can't help but not think in the background that there is the master architect. I don't know who, what, where, or how, but I believe the Matrix had it right. I think Neo, and what did the architect say? He laughed at Neo. He said, "Man, you're just one in a long line." You know, and Neo with all his self-righteousness for humanity saying, well, this is wrong. And he said, you know, we created a perfect world for you. In fact, we did it a number of times. And every time you screwed it up, talking about humanity. And in the time, humanoids evolved. Fish humanoids, bird humanoids, reptile humanoids, mammal humanoids, and humanoids of every kind became the consistent outcome of evolution. As primordial Uranus man developed, his caves gave way to huts. Gathering of huts became settlements. Settlements became cities. The trapping and hunting of animals gave way to fur trading. The fur trading gave way to markets. Gathering gave birth to gardening. Gardening yielded to farming. The needs of the Uranus man became desires. Desires became greed. Always tends that way. Compassionate men became leaders. Leaders became conquerors, and a primitive world became civilized. Differences of opinion became arguments. Arguments became wars. Curiosity and necessity gave birth to technology. Early Uranus man had conquered his world. And then Uranus man looked up into the skies, and he saw his moon. He created ships to carry him skyward, and his conquest of the moon began. As he stood on the moon, as he surveyed the lunar cities, he looked up and saw the stars above him. Seeking more, he moved skyward again. This time, neighboring worlds were discovered. Uranus man conquered the environment of the new world, and the cycle began again. And so it was that Uranus man met his relatives in the galaxy. Uranus bird man met Uranus mammal man. Uranus reptile man met Uranus insect man. And Uranus reptile man greeted them all. The many evolved beings of the worlds of Uranus gathered and talked. They traded, they danced, they shared, and they joined together. In other words, the coitus thing. In times, they learned from each other and they lived together. And then they went to war. Always. Primitive Uranus man. I mean, and if this is primitive Uranus man, wow, we have to be so far down freaking below of even the bar. I mean, apparently they were very advanced. Uranus man became a civilized Urdanus man. Primitive wars gave way to the science of war. Death, in all its horror, became a tool of progress. Galactic kingdoms in Urdanus rose and fell. Civilizations prospered and died. A continuous series of wars engulfed the entire galaxy. No single empire endured for long, none save one. And I love, so this is where each one of the different life forms, insectoids, there's the reptilians, the mammal. Hey, I look at this, and when I was, you get it in the full page, it's like, yeah, I don't think that we're the only one. Don't think that for a second. I think we've been suckered into that thinking. In the galaxy of Uranus, the way of things became war, violence, and turbulence, surfacing above other races as the supreme masters of war, the beings, so called because of the hissing sound they made as they spoke, beings, weathered war and chaos to seize and retain a sizable portion of the ninth sector of the galaxy. That's where we are. Though originally ruled over by kings of repute, it was under the queens that the empire was to reach its pinnacle. Known as the Sisti, the queens and their techniques of rule became the very embodiment of royal power. The very name for a throne, the Asti, would be chilling tribute to the deadliness of the reptilian queens. It's that feminine power, boys. You screw with the queens, they'll eat you. In a galaxy of chaos and war, the beings had no peer or competition. Ruthless in command and efficient in their cruelty, the Sisti queens were brilliant politicians and war strategists, using events to advantage and manipulating wars to their advantage and gain. Providing the royals with the power to conquer and reign over their foes was a powerful military force, unmatched and unequaled by any other. Comprised of tall, imposing figures, the warriors were cold-blooded warriors with frightening dragon-like faces. Though evolution had long since removed their scale-like skins, the plates on the body armor gave an impression of fierce dinosaur beings. Only a long ridge of bone rising from the forehead and trailing back and over the head remained to hint at their reptilian ancestry. Known as the MK or the MG, the appearance of the cis warriors alone was enough to strike fear over billions of years, fear into the opponent's heart. Countless wars over billions of years had taught the queens a vital lesson. An enemy or rebellious subject serves no purpose if executed. But if the brain was reprogrammed, resistance was eliminated, and an able body was added to the labor force. Mind control was the science of choice. Doesn't surprise me. Do we really think that we made this up? Mind control. Referred to by other races as the Ari, or masters, in time they would become known as the Ari of On, heaven, or Orion. Today it is known as Orion. But though it had become the epitome of power and might, a symbol of brutal rulership and unrelenting aggression, the fate would play a curious trick on the Orion. In their quest for galactic power, the Sisti warriors had looted the palace treasuries of their victimized worlds. The cultural riches of conquered worlds were placed on display in the museums of the Arion, making the empire the center of the ninth sector culture and wisdom. Arion became the showcase world for poetry, music, art, and dance. It was a step, however, unknowing for the evolution of temperance in the ST psyche. And there's a interesting depiction of what the queens look like. Very pharaoh-like, don't they? Yeah. I get Isis from that, you know. Here are these bad boys. You know, the Southwest Indians talk about these warriors. And so what he did here, what Bhakti is doing here, showing how our language evolved from their language. MK means name of a crocodile. This is from the ancient Egyptian. Mech, protector, protection. MQ, to slay, to hack into pieces. Mag, or MG, crocodile. Mach, fight, to fight. It goes in the words, and I won't go through all of them, but you can see it's really interesting. Makaya, to strike, to fight. Makoya, protectors. Makai, protectors. Mega, crocodile. Mega, to command, instruct. More of their words coming into ours. The Magha means mighty, great one in Hindu. The Mach, great superior, that's in Sumerian texts. Mactus, glorified in the Latin. Mactabalis, deadly in the Latin. And it's quite interesting as you go through this. In English, make, actually it came from to force, major, huge, greater, majestic, majesty, royal, regale, magic, illusion. Look at this. Magic in, according to Bhakti, from the queens, is really illusion, reprogramming the brain. Wow. And even image has the same terminology, reprogramming the brain. So anyway, now we're going to get into the Ashra R. I love these cats. All right. Though the reign of the Asti queens on the ninth sector was seldom challenged, of great concern to the Arion queens were the movements and expansions of yet another race called the Har. Evolved from vicious mammalian predators, I can only imagine what the hell that has to look like. The R are still in the early stages of development. Their thirst for expansionism, unburdened by the softening that continually wars and time brought on. The Arch race war was the entirety distance. Kind of like mankind. Mankind only knows war. We've never had a time where there was peace on earth. All else was meaningless. Life itself meant obedience and total commitment to the archkings. Anything less meant death. So quickly did they create their empire, so ruthless was their techniques, that the R would become known as the Asa, or overlords. In the ninth sector, the worlds of the R would be known as Asa R. Led by the fearsome Aiku warriors, a barbaric army with a fleet of deadly starships of overwhelmingly firepower. The king of Asa R wreaked havoc on the world surrounding the ninth passageway. The elite Aiku force descended on their unsuspecting targets with unmerciful and unrelenting attack, clearing the skyways of any potential resistance and totally decimating land-based strongholds. Within moments, warriors, ground forces, the R, or what we call now the Ben-Hay, moved in to annihilate any and all remaining military forces. Renowned for their practices of devouring the flesh of their enemies, the Aiku and the Beha became known as the DK and the TK, the teeth of the R. Well, hell, if they're coming in and they're going to eat you, I mean, ay, ay, ay. So this gives you an idea of here we are. We're out here. They're talking about the other side of the galaxy that is apparently much more advanced than we have ever thought. They look at us as merely a prize. We're such an obedient race. We're easily manipulated. We're easily reprogrammed. So I love the drawings. I mean, and apparently there is this passageway that leads us, I guess, to other systems. Aggressive and ravenous, unrelenting in their expansion, the Conqueror Kings began the slow, methodical takeover of the Pesh Maten, the ninth passageway. A crucial star lane. Seizing the passageway would give the Asha'ar kings control to travel into and out of the Aryan Empire. That possibility was one the St queens could not permit. And there they are. Where have we seen these cats before? Yeah, everyone's going, well, yeah, the Egyptian, glyphs, pictographs. Yeah. Again, he goes through a whole section of words. I won't bore us with that because the story is more compelling. But the Asha'ar kings were a formidable power. The ways of war had been the driving force of their evolution. Every king had demanded such of their military forces. The starship pilots, the IQ possessed light beams which could melt targets, cut them into pieces, or disintegrate them. The elite ground forces, the Baha'i, used weapons which could emit sounds that stunned the enemy, disintegrated solid objects, or could be used to transport an object from one place to another. All in all, the Dak forces had in a short time become an army of devastating power. The Asa'ar science of war was a technology of death called At. And from this new science, the ultimate warship was spawned, a planet-sized globe with the armament of all other starships. Sounds like the Death Star, doesn't it? A planet-sized globe, and more. The warships were dubbed the R or the AR, the miniature world capable of destruction never before seen in the ninth sector. This R of Dak forces made the Empire a force to be reckoned with. Isn't R kind of like always, I think, arc? The rays of the sun glistening off the surface of the death ship made the R shine like a bright star in the skies. Wow. Though a brilliant star was often a portent of wondrous things, this star brought death and destruction. Boom, boom. As the Asa'ar kings continued to expand their holdings, the St queens made a careful gesture of peace towards the conquering kings in the hopes of resolving the dilemma before war became necessary. The billions of years of conflict had taught the ST an invaluable lesson. War brings death to a winner as well as a loser. There were other ways to win the conflict. Victory was, in some cases, gained by taking the enemy into one's own folds. The Dak could be won over in a more clever and devious way. The queens of the Arion called for a meeting of the royals. If the kings of Asar pledged their loyalty to the ST high throne and submitted themselves to the service of the throne, then they would be granted control of the outer stars of the ninth sector. Realizing the magnitude of power in this offer extended, the Asar kings quickly agreed to the alliance. The Dak forces and the mighty Death Planet, was placed in the service of the Asti queens. That doesn't sound good at all, does it? Like, no. The outer ninth sector was made part of the Asar Empire. Capitulated to the place as superpower by the alliance, the stars of Asar became known as the Empire of the Asti Sisti. Empire born of the ST, dying of the ST, or the SRS, or Cirrus. With the Arion alliance to back them, the Asar kings began yet a greater effort to conquer and seize new systems, new worlds to add to their empire, solidifying their power, levying heavy tolls and embargoes on travelers on the lanes of the ninth passageway. The SRS empire had soon become the Arion, become too big. It didn't go on there. The Arion queens watched with a weary eye the moment the betrayal must be carefully planned. Backstabbers. That's all I got to say. God almighty, you can't trust anyone. Not even your mama. And so for a time, the tenuous peace became to exist between the two thrones. All was well until the era of a monarch known as the Great On, the elder king of Asar. And again, he goes through the word listing there. In the era of the great elder king On, life on the Asar was good. The luxuries and benefits that benefited a conqueror race was theirs to enjoy and revel in. The alliance with the ST Empire had made the kings of the Asar more powerful than ever before and had permitted the people of the Asar an opportunity to enjoy a richer style of life. Sounds like here, doesn't it? But the power of the throne also made the life of the king more precarious. Treachery, lies, and deceit surrounded the king. Assassination plots, military coups, and alien invasions were the everyday matter of the king. I ask, who wants to be a king? That'll kill you. I mean, literally, figuratively. King Anon watched the skies for enemy attacks and peered carefully over his shoulder at relatives and members of the royal court. Such was the life of a king of Asar, and such was the life of the elder king Anon. Seated in the royal court of the great Anon, serving as royal cupbearers, was his brother, the great Al-Shar, assisting in the governing of the empire. The great Al-Shar served faithfully under his brother, the great elder king. Peace reigned, the empire prospered until an outbreak of war and the Central Stars. Always war. A series of major conflicts known as the Galactic Great Wars drew both the Arion Empire and the Empire of the Asar into its folds. The great elder king was summoned to the palace of the ST to render service as commander of the combined MK and DK warriors. You know, like I said, I don't know if this is true or not, but I can really see that, you know, in a certain point of view, listen, are we so naive to think that it's blank out there? Just because we can't hear anything, see anything, it might be by design, uh, because we think we're so smart. We think we can see billions of light years out there. Sure, we can. Anyway, uh, the great Alshar, acting on behalf of the king Anon, remained behind in the Asar palace, seeing an opportunity to betray his brother. Of course, Prince Alshar decided to seize control of the central Asar forces. The successful coup compelled the prince to further action. He immediately dispatched an elite troop of assassins, of course, to hunt down and kill his brother. Why not? um, the historical documents would tell of the death in battle of the great Anan, the hero king who gave his life while in command of his armies. But those who were in the court of Asar knew why the king had died and who was responsible. Treachery was everywhere. Prince Alshar's royal cupbearer was now King Al. Lord Prince Anshar, son of hero King Anan, and heir apparent, was captured and placed into exile by the new king of Asar. Man, they're changing. I mean, that seat, who wants it? Hey, you're a king. Oh, crap. Just make sure your will's in place. Was captured and placed into exile by the new king, his claim to the throne stripped away forever. To ensure his personal safety, the great king Al made the grandson of the great Anan his own personal cupbearer. You know, love your friends, but keep your enemies even closer. Know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So now the deposed prince, Anu, was both hostage and servant to his king and uncle. Revenge would have to wait. Anu, where we've heard that before. I'll tell you where, it's the Sumerian tablets. For now, he would serve faithfully, but he would learn. Someday the throne of Ashar would be his. This he vowed. In this time, yet another significant event would occur, one which would change forever the fate of the ninth sector. A new star was beginning to mature, its young worlds cooling down to form inhabitable planets. King Al, recognizing a potential for untapped precious ores and the possibility of a strategic military outpost, immediately sent a trusted and faithful administrator to lay claim to the new solar system. Lord Al-M, master of Genesis sciences, had an imposing task before him to colonize and develop a primitive planetary system. Terraforming. The young sun had originally formed with only two worlds in orbit around it, one tiny inner planet known as Mercury, and one larger planet. Its name was eventually to be Tiamat. In time, 6 more worlds would form. One pair of inner worlds, Venus and Mars, 2 central giants, Jupiter and Saturn, and a pair of twin planets, Neptune and Uranus. But it was Tiamat, the tropical world, that would be the first planet developed by Lord Al-M in his assignment. Already inhabited by settlers of numerous galactic star systems, Tiamat was both a paradise and a frontier world of danger. The presence of an Arsar military contingency force and a direct link to the King Al and the empire of the Arian was welcomed by the colonists and their families. Protection and necessary supplies would now be available. Tiamat would become a full-fledged world. Lord Al-M began to immediately exploit the new solar system. The sun, give me 1 second here. So I kind of lost the place there. Woof, yeah. Protection is necessary. The sun was called bad. It's interesting. Our sun. You ever gotten a sunburn? That's bad. Where death is, in the immediate proximity of the young sun was the tiniest world, Christian Momu, the firstborn traveler. The next world would become a military outpost. Though possessed of a super hot surface temperatures, its inner caverns gave comfortable shelter for the Aiku and the Behe forces. This world would become known as Dakaamu, the place of the Dak inside, that's Venus. Then you had the red sand planets. Next in line was a world with air and water, trees, and an environment suitable for settlers to inhabit. The good site for colonists, it was also provided a much needed surface land for a central military fortress. This is the world of Dakomu, the place of the Dak. Beyond the red sands world was Tiamat, the center of the colonized efforts of Lord Alal-M. The largest of the system worlds was a gigantic planet possessing gravitational forces that made it unsuitable for a habitation, but excellent for production of supermetals. Under supergravity conditions, metals could be forged into combinations impossible on other worlds. Barbaru, it was called the world of metals. The second Titan world was the most dangerous. Internal forces were highly unstable, processing a constant cloud of dust and rock circling around its furiously spinning center with its gravitational forces that pulled many ships into an uncorrectable spin. The giant would be known as Targolu, the great destroyer. Of all the planets, the ringed one would prove the most dangerous. A distant past Targalu was a large, cold swamp planet, poisonous gases as its skies. Shama-Ama would be a difficult to colonize, but would be ideal for Genesis experiments. That's weird. The outpost world was called Iru, a near twin of the Shan-Ama in size. Aru was a watery world with a misty covering. Though the task was difficult, Lord Alal-M would prove successful. Extremely high gravitational forces on Barbaru simplified the manufacture of heavy metals unstable in an environment with low gravity. Military outposts on Dakamu and Dakmu proved secure and strong. Experimental farms on both Shamamu and Aru showed promise. The settlements on the moons of Babaru and the Talaguru were also thriving. I have read stories, we all have, of Tiamat. If you've ever read any of Stitchen's work, you know that. And it's been described in other, like I said, the Colburn Bible, the Bronze Books. I think even the Emerald tablets have talked about Tiamat. It's really, the thing about this, what kind of always I go, that's interesting, is that what happens to Tiamat. And this is why I say that you have to consider, our scientists like to say, well, the asteroid belt, as it doesn't have enough material in it to form a planet. They don't know that. You can give me all your mathematical computations, but it's still theory. No one of the modern era of Homo sapiens witnessed this, but it was because of Zeus that Tiamat was destroyed. Kind of given a little bit, but Yeah, it kind of goes, okay, well, so how'd that happen? We're going to find out. But Tiamat was the crowning glory of the efforts of the Lord Elohim. With the support of his king, all back home, the administrator was able to develop Tiamat into a paradise far beyond expectation. Facilities to extract newly discovered ores was constructed. Atmospheric conditioning centers soon began the tedious task of transforming the skies into a more suitable environment. As a source of precious ores and a strategic control point of traffic on the ninth passageway star lanes, and the new system further strengthened the stranglehold of King All, which he held in the ninth sector. As his final project, Lord Elohim constructed a nearly perfect duplicate of the palace of the SRR kings, known as Kai. Its name literally meant in the likeness of. The new solar system of Bad had been conquered. In recognition of the efforts of Elohim, the system was called Aridu, the Master Palace, and its lord was Elohim, the Injai, Lord of the world of the likeness of Asa-R. So we continue into the story. These queens, they're still here. The thing, and you read it in the book, they never go away. And I can only assume, I'd love to talk to Robert on this, would be to see, was Backai saying that they are basically immortal? They don't seem to die. They do have these rejuvenation chambers, which is really weird because they do talk about that in the Sumerian tablets about Enki and his sister. And by the way, there's Anu, because now we're going to begin to see how the story of here on earth becomes into play. It's just the difference is that Anu is not quite the same character of the other one. And I just looked at the time. All right, we're going to drop off here because I have got they say an appointment that can't be missed coming up. So I'd encourage you to get the book, read the story, because I'm telling you, I really do feel that something is about to happen. The UFOs are everywhere. You know, it used to be back in the 50s when it was becoming, a popular mind control experiment. We knew that something had changed. They had been here. The scouts have been here, apparently, folks, for tens of thousands of years. And we are so limited because we only live a very short period of time. These beings are ancient, billions of years old, and they move at a different rate, a different approach than we do. And when these battles take place, there was a huge battle here. It turned Uranus upside on its side. That was a ship that, as the story says, it was one of the Death Star ships as it was passing through. And the pilot of the ship, the commander of the Death Star, was doing a suicide mission. And their target was Tiamat. And as they passed too close to Uranus, it turned it on its side. The gravitational pull was that intense. So my whole point to this is, I think they've been rebuilding. It's what I was left here. They're not going to leave this sector. Earth still is a valuable prize in any empire. And man is in no position to defend this planet. We just don't have the technology. Why and this is why I think that we have made alliances with either the ST, the reptilians, or possibly with the SOR. And if you think about the SSR, that's Sirius, that's the dog star. What did we see in the Vatican? Didn't that look like a dog man? It looked like a dog man to me. Could that have been the ambassador that was sent as a result of Eisenhower meeting the delegation that were in the Vatican had its representative of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles? Are all these stories somehow now beginning to potentially make some sense? And that if they're trying to avoid a bloodbath, will the other side be as agreeable to that? Or are they going to do the slash and burn approach? All very interesting questions as far as I'm concerned. All of these books are telling us a story. They're trying to either warn us or trying to awaken us to the real possibility that, yeah, planets are conquered, planets are taken over, and planets are destroyed. I'm just reading some of that. I mean, seriously, I mean, I don't think there's anything that we can do. I think the thing that I've learned through reading these materials, and I think maybe some of you've come to the same conclusion, intelligence isn't equated with peace. I mean, apparently you can be highly intelligent and be cold-blooded. I mean, just don't have any empathy at all, no compassion, no empathy. And you know, isn't it odd that the people who have been abducted, and there are abductees in here. Many of you, I have a sense, many of us most likely have been abducted. We are the problem. You and I, people that tune in and listen, and there's other channels. Our good friends like EA Arts that they have a video that just blew my mind. Thank you, Guy, for sending that. And thank you for y'all for on the response. We it appears that we think that we have gotten ourselves tuned into something. We have. We are the ones who have received the signal that I'm convinced is being sent. Not everyone, because most people will write this off as a crackpot. No foundation of science. You know what? Man's science is old magic. When man can catch up to the magic in his science, then we really will be talking something. But right now, we're still, as far as I can tell, most of these advanced cultures look at us as nothing more than knuckle-dragging bipedals. We're a violent species. We're always at war. We can't seem to keep our planet, love our planet, respect our planet. We destroy our planet. We destroy everything that we come next to. And I think it's true. We are quarantined. And I don't think they're going to let us out. I did a video about 3 years ago. Rennie, you may recall this one, is that I said that they're terraforming Earth right now. They've been terraforming. There's a new occupant, I believe, coming in, and it ain't going to be us. I think that we have been judged and by our own actions as being incapable of living in peace. We're incapable of living with other species of the galaxy. We're so primitive in our viewpoints, even spiritually. Man, in his spiritual point of view, is that it's only man in the spiritual realm. And that's not reality. Again, our creator God, Prince Al-Alam, known as Enki, and his sister, Nimhagzog, they're our gods. They're the ones who created us. They're genetic scientists. That's what they do. And we've now figured it out. We know how to create life. We know how to do that. In fact, apparently creating life is not really that hard. I mean, once you get the formula, you can really begin to do some strange stuff in the lab. And that's what we're doing now. Anyway, y'all are far out. I gotta go. I listen, if anyone wants to come on and talk about this, email me. I'd love to get a discussion on this, particularly if you've read the material and other similar material, because I think it's getting close, folks. I see the insanity of our world. Like someone, I swear to you, it's like someone is freaking turning up the dial. And I don't know how far we can go before, you know, people start walking around, their heads going. All right. Thank you all. I so appreciate every one of you. Y'all are just, it's an honor to come here and talk and to share. This is how we grow, and uh thank you. You make the journey just so far out. Nina has her show on today. Make sure you go there and check out her merchandise. I've left merchandise for others on here. Marsha's think I'm overwhelmed, Marsha, at times. And anyway, support the folks, and that's what I love about Andromeda 7. Nina's got some cards that, anyway, I got other things going. I got several thoughts. All right, I need to go. So I had shut up, Wayne. All right, bye, folks.